Show with Adrian Biddle, Melissa Bartlett, and your boy Kerry Bixby. It's your show, so tell us what you want to talk about. It's that the Round Table Podcast Show. All right. We are back again, my friend. It is that the Roundtable Podcast Show. And as you see, there's two of us on here right now, but it's all good. And I get to be first and foremost. I get to introduce the queen who just got back into town here. Yeah, look at her here. Look at her. It is the Pitbull in the dress, Melissa Bartlett. What's going on?
What's up? Hello, my ATRT family. Missed you guys. It has been a while. Life has not been kind, and then it switched and it is favorable. So I'm grateful and so happy to be on here again and get to see my bro and my other bro on his way. And CD, what's up with you?
Man, let me tell you, you hit the nail on the head when you made that statement as far as life. I wasn't gonna say anything. You know, I kind of kept it quiet, but I'll go ahead and share it because I think it's something in which we definitely want to talk about today on the What You Talking About Wednesday episode. I've been kind of low key and such, and the reason why is because I got COVID again. Well, I don't have it now, but I did catch it again, and it hit me hard, but not as hard as the first time. And shouts out to my babe who holds it down each and every time. Her man get caught up in the mix on something. She's always there. She is my ride or die, my cheerleader, my comforter, my doctor, my best friend. She held it down while your boy was in the bed and stuff, and actually had to take me to the hospital Sunday because we had a scare. But praise God, everything worked out fine. Recuperating, everything good. I tested negative. Went back to the doctor and went and got tested negative. Everything was good with that, but still on some meds. I just say that because people, we cannot get lax on this thing, because even the doctor, you know, and I'm in the hospital and stuff, and they're like, wait a minute, you was just here and you had and all this. And they were like, I mean, when you talk about some people, some caregivers running at the speed of light, they were on it. Even Renee was surprised. They were like on it. They took me straight to the back, had me hooked up, fluided up, everything. And it's just like, you know, it's nothing to play with. And then I talked to one of my coworkers. She got it coming back from the Bahamas. And then I talked to my brother-in-law and his family. They got it. One of my brother-in-laws. And it's just a mess. I mean, it's starting to ramp back up. So I say this as a PSA. Y'all be careful, because you just don't know. I mean, I had my mask on and everything, and I think when I came down, because my wife and I went away for our anniversary, and I came down the elevator just to go get us some drinks, and I didn't have my mask on then, and then came back up. And as soon as we got back home, and I tested it, and it was boom, and it hit me. So I don't want nobody getting it. Please don't. Just
It is definitely ramping up. I have a friend who is in like the restaurant business, and you know, hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, when they opened back up and never got it, and you know, wind up getting it. So it's crazy that this strand seems to like be getting the other people who didn't get it the first time. Um, you and I both 2020 survivors from having it. And even this time going out of the country, right when it was time to go, it's like, you know, you're seeing all this spiking. And then, you know, we're looking at the news on the way back, and they're like, you know, there's some states that weren't yellow in just 4 days that are yellow now. So depending on where you're flying back into, be aware of that, blah, blah, blah. I did a home test because we got the home test. I did a test prior to leaving, but it was not necessary to travel to Jamaica. But we did have to take a test before we came back, which also was negative. But, you know, they're traveling this summer, people ramping up, be prepared for some changes that may not have been there at the time of you booking your trip, because they are definitely changing as the rates are increasing. So be mindful of that as well. Be safe, wash your hands, wear your mask. Everyone should have gotten the free home test. If you're going to be in an atmosphere where you're going to be around a lot of people, just take a test. Take a test prior to you leaving to make sure that you're not there. That also helps with contact tracing. It also helps at the time when you may have contracted it, because you'll know, okay, before I went to blah, 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 I was negative. And if it happens 3-4 times, weeks later, I still don't believe in that window where, you can get it or you can pass it to other people. I believe that window is still there's an error in it. But I agree. Make sure we just stay cautious. We are all tired. Who would have thought this 2022?
Right.
The middle of 2022. And we are still dealing with this.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought it was so odd too, because like Renee and I, we went to go get tested. Like as soon as we got back, we both had sniffles. So I was like, yo, I got to get ready to go to work in Atlanta anyway. It'd be best if we get tested. And we went and we got tested. And while we were getting tested, there was a woman that was over here was getting tested. And she said it, and we were all shocked when she said she literally been walking around 3 days with a fever and had the symptoms. 3 days. And had no mask on when she came in and stuff like that. So you can only imagine the number of people that she came in contact with and probably gave it to. And it's like, we just have to really be careful and be cautious as well, because as soon as I found out, again, I was on the phone hitting people. Like I had just saw my mom, hugged my niece, spent time with them as soon as we got back in town, and was doing all this stuff, had seen other family members. And it was just like, yo, we're on the phone calling people saying, look, this is what's happened. And I'm going to tell you, it was probably the most boring Memorial Day weekend, because I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And it was just like, I mean, locked up in a room, can't see my babe. She just like being around the corner, you all right? A lot of texting and stuff. And then she found this new way, like on our phones, we could see each other and talk to each other. So it's like we dating again. And we just like, yeah, hey, how you? I'm good. How you? What you doing? I miss you. I miss you too, girl. I mean, it's just one of those things and stuff. But I'm glad we did it, because I didn't want her to get this thing. And it's just and I missed a lot. I mean, there was a lot of parties going on. We had been invited to some events. Matter of fact, there's an event tomorrow. And while I have been negative, and getting over it, I still have congestion and stuff. I still don't feel like going to that, because I don't want to be around people not feeling well, nor do I want them to worry. So it's one of those things in which we had to be very aware and be very conscientious of our fellow man and woman. So it's like, yo, it is what it is. But, some people... And
just because you've caught it doesn't mean that you can't catch it again.
Right.
So, this will be, and who's to say what ×2 or ×3? Because right now your immune system has fought it off enough for you to be negative, and it's not a high trace of it in your system, but your immune system now has to rebuild itself. So when you're coming from having COVID and you test negative, there should still be some cautious before you going into a group, because say you don't get COVID, but you now are susceptible to anything else. That's so right. You have to be smart.
Very much so. And I'll be the first one to say I am not quote unquote Superman, especially when when you first catch it or whatever, and you go through that and you have long haul, and then even after long haul, your system is still challenged. Like, with me, I'll just be open. So if anybody's listening, I'll be very transparent. Let's say, COVID caused me to have blood clots. And that's one of the things in which now, even with this one, when I got it, that's the first thing my hematologist hit me and was like, yo, I don't want you traveling. I don't want you doing this. I want you back on your medicine, and I want to hear from you, and you got to come back in. So I got another appointment with her. And it's just like, the doctors were amazing when they went over everything. They're like, look, we got to put you on the antivirals immediately. I mean, it's those things. So your body is totally taxed. And coming from somebody, I was talking to a friend of mine, they didn't even know, coming from a situation in which I recently had surgery, and then had another procedure done, then having a third one, and your body is taxed, so it leaves you wide open. And then even after you've healed, like you said, it's that window in which you could, catch something else or whatever. So just, I say this to people, y'all just be careful, just be mindful, don't, all up in people's face and all this other stuff. Just, it's still good, give them 6 feet, do the dap in the air, whatever the case may be, but just be mindful because they said that it's going to ramp up. They said by at least, we're in June. So they said by at least August, September, it's going to be some interesting numbers. So
it is. It's definitely going to be interesting, and we're just going to have to be prayerful, be cautious and careful, and make sure that, you do your part. That's what's important. And I think that's why this isn't going away, because you have people like the young lady that was in the emergency room when you were there, or you have people who are just like, I'm not doing it. Like your pride and selfishness is so more important than just doing something to help others. So we're dealing with all of that. And let's just not forget, people who were nasty before the pandemic are still nasty. So, I mean, let's just be honest about it. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell people to wash your hands, use hand sanitizer and all that. But, I mean, come on. Like, if you were nasty before, you're still nasty.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So you have all these different variables that are causing this spike. But, we just got to make sure we do our part and get the word out. But, what you talking about Wednesday?
What you talking about Wednesday? Yes, indeed. Feed the needy. Yeah, we'd love for anyone to join us on tonight's What You Talking About Wednesday, because like I had mentioned once before, it's wide open. Anything that comes to the table, we're going to talk about it. No, we're not talking about the red table talk either. We're talking about that at the round table.
That's right.
So I can't wait to. I was hoping that Deacon would be on here because I know he's got a quote unquote. I'll say the word before we get here. Plethora of things to talk about or whatever sort. But you know what? Since he's not here, I'm gonna let you take it. I'm gonna let you run with it first, sis, and let him catch it.
So 2 things happened while being in Montego Bay. One conversation was how men in different countries view American women. Let me say some men, and even if it's not how they feel, this is conversations that they had with other, men that are not from America. And it kind of ties into the Lori Harvey thing, where I am one of those women who feel like, even though I don't know what happened or what has went on, I just don't think she's ready for a relationship. I think she's young, and I think she needs to date, continue being who you are, but date how you date. But here's that flip side of it, and this is where it ties into the men of other country. A woman that has, a resume, we'll say that instead of track record, because that sounds meaning.
Right.
A resume of dating celebrity and everyone to know who they are, and have dated them in the open and in the public, will never have a problem getting a man. Yes, she's a beautiful young lady. I know all those things matter as well. But if you took that same, there are just as many women who are just your common woman that goes to work, CEOs, all that kind of stuff, and I feel they are beautiful as well. They would have a problem with dating her. And so while I am a person that's saying, hey, I hate that Lori and Michael B. Jordan are together, and it does seem like she dates him for a while and leaves him, are you not aware of what we see? Or are you prideful to say, well, I know she just ain't had the right man, so I know I can is that just making you feel like she has so many suitors and so many opportunities because there's so many men out there also that's just like, that wasn't the right dude. I can do it. I know I could be the one to tame her. I know I could be the one that, cuff her or knock her down, da da da. Like that's crazy. So you can't be too mad at her when, to be honest, she's not trying to hide anything of who she is and what she does.
True. Very true. Very transparent.
She still gets a pletherer of people who be like, okay, well, I'm trying to be next.
Yeah, but you know what? And here's where you play, you kind of be an advocate, but at the same time you be, because I think when men do it, there is not such a stigma attached to it.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because men can, men do the same thing, but it's the attaboy notching the belt type thing. But then when the women do it, it's a big question, and then there's always, quote unquote, the motive. The motive always comes up as far as why is this woman known for dating so many different men, or for that matter, like you mentioned, celebrity men. Why is she always side by side, arm in arm with a celebrity guy, and then 6-7 months later, they done broke up and now she's on to the next one. But then it makes you wonder too, is it because of her stature that she gets all this attention? But what about, Shanika, we'll say, who lives in the neighborhood, who's dated James, Jerome, John Shui, Adrian,
Tyrone.
Yeah, I mean, just it just makes you wonder. It's like, what is it that causes that stigma? Now, that's that, and that's like really the good way, and how it's unfair. But then on the flip side, people will be like, well, look, her father is Steve Harvey, okay, and he wrote a book, and you seen how he was in his previous marriages before he got with Marjorie, and then it's just all these things. So it's like, did that contribute to it, and did that cause her to be the way she is, or whatever?
Well, she's his stepdaughter. He adopted her. He wanted them all to have the same name.
Right.
But here's the thing too. She is, again, I still have to question, like, how much can you blame her for being and doing what she does per se, when you have guys who are like, I'm next, I'm here.
Right.
And Lori and Marjorie, to me, are no different than the Kardashians.
Wow. Now, when you say that,
they have the same, they get the same conversation. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, to me, it's the same thing. It's the same situation. So I mean, while I am a Michael B. Jordan fan, and I'm like, I hurt my heart to see him hurt, especially when they, at the game. If you've been there and you're an adult, you lived a little bit, you knew what that face was, you knew how he looked in his eyes. So yeah, I feel like a big auntie, like, no, you hurt my baby. But I mean, I can't crucify this. I can't crucify this young lady when she hasn't changed. Her record and tenure and resume perceives her at this point.
Right.
And you still taking a chance to say, I'm gonna make her my boo.
Yeah. I can see this. I can see the correlation, like you mentioned, that A Money, the man, the myth, the legend, he has joined us. What's up?
Ooh, man. Trying to move mountains, man.
Did you move the mountain?
Ooh. Nah, I still got work to do. I'm here.
Oh man, that's
sorry about the delay.
No, that's all right, man. We've been trying to keep the seat warm and hold the fort down for you and stuff. Trav, what's going on at the Roundtable Podcast Show? Trav Perry done joined us. Trav, this is what you talking about Wednesday, so you got to drop something into the mix, so to speak. A Money, be catching up. We talked about COVID, and now we're talking about the breakup. Michael B. Jordan. Lori. Just young black love done took a tumble. But
It took a hit.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. There may be some reconciliation down the road, though.
you think so?
Yeah, in
It's
10 years when she's 35.
And then love turns back around, brings them back together, and it becomes such a
She's
romantic.
matured. She's
Yeah.
matured.
End up being
And
a
then again,
movie.
she may not. That may be a characteristic that may be theirs, because we know her mom's history. So that might be something that might just be there.
What's going on, Hoggy? Thank you for joining us on that Roundtable Podcast Show. It was What You Talking About Wednesday. We talking about the breakup. Well, first we talked about COVID. Now we're talking about the breakup between Michael and Lori.
Did they give a reason yet?
Nope. It's just that they're both very heartbroken.
It's interesting. What to say about that? At their age, it's not shocking though, but you hate to see it, but still learning.
It's okay. So catch me up. Hey, Money, what's been going on other than moving mountains?
Attempting to move mountains, but nothing much. It's just life. You know how that goes.
Yes.
You come to that obstacle, try to put it down, move to the next one.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, indeed.
Trav
said. Look what Trav said.
In regards to Michael B. Jordan, damn if he did, damn if he don't.
And I just knew they were going to be the couple.
I didn't. I was just waiting.
Alyssa.
Sorry.
She shot it down. She's like, no, it wasn't going to work. Get him out.
Sorry. She got all she can get, and she had moved on.
But you know what? That brings up a good topic. Another good one. How do we express to these young couples, how love is serious? Ain't nothing to play with.
Well, you can't be the determining factor of what love is because everyone has their own definition. Your love is it's the love of you. I think the way that you love someone else is the level of your self-love.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. You have to start with home first. You have to start with yourself first before you can actually share love with someone else.
That's right. And I think that's why it happened. Yeah, when you start falling out of love with yourself, questioning how you look or if you have the ability to do certain things or certain tasks, then you start having that questionable love for your other partner, for your partner. So if you have self-love and your self-love is 100, you're going to love on somebody 100. If you don't have it, whatever percentage you are, that's what you're giving that person.
True that.
Oh.
So Trav says, if the black man is the savior of the black woman, what standards does a woman have for herself to be worthy of being saved?
Ooh,
that's true.
Well, he dropping them pearls right here.
But that goes back to, even though he's a trash, something that Gray, what's his name? The cheating preacher, what's his name?
Oh, you're talking about oh my goodness.
Whatever Gray.
Yeah, Pastor
Gray.
Yeah.
He was preaching about dating, and he was saying that the scripture says he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And he said it didn't say find a girlfriend, it didn't say find a booty call, it said find a wife. So when you get done playing and you doing like nobody's saying that you wrong, do what you're doing, do you. But when you're ready to be someone's wife, you have to start walking the path of a wife, because that's how he gonna find you, because he's gonna be looking for one. He ain't gonna be looking for you if you're doing everything that one night stands do or occasional dates do, or someone that's not trying to be committed. He's not gonna find you. When you ready to be the wife, then you're gonna start conducting yourself and your behaviors and kind of changing your way of thinking as a wife so he can find you. So I think those are some of those things that, as a Black woman, when it's time for her to have her savior or be received by her hero, her Black king, those are the things that's going to draw him in, to her.
Like that.
True.
Oh, how you done drop some pearls too?
Michael needs a classy, more mature woman. She's not ready to settle down, and looking at the previous men she dated, he doesn't even seem like her type. That's what I said. I was like, oh, how did she do that? That's what I said.
And you know what? And it makes you wonder too. It makes you wonder if, the mindset of Michael, was he, what it seems like. It seemed like he did, though, because it seemed like he really was looking forward to settling down. I mean, this is a young brother. Excuse me, y'all. If you don't know, and you look over the years of him being in his craft and how he grew up. I mean, I still remember, some of those. What was that show that he was on that time?
The Wire.
Well, even before that, he was
All
in
My Children.
Thank you, All My Children. So from All My Children to The Wire, and you saw him grow from being, just this little young teen to now being, voted the sexiest man alive, and just the type of
yes, sir.
I mean the type of works that he's done. I mean, hands down, when he did Fruitville Station,
yeah,
I was like, that's going to be the next Denzel in my mind, and I told people, I said he's going to be the next Denzel because he really hit it. And I mean, just going forward in all the shit, except for Fantastic Four, Brush shouldn't have did that. But
they paid him. That was a white man's version of it, and they did not care about trying to show his talent. They just needed somebody to fill in, and his agent agreed on the money. That's exactly that is probably like one of the worst things I've seen him in.
Yeah, he should have never did that. Now, if they would have put him in A Money, you can go ahead and if you want to co-sign. If they wanted to bring him when he did Black Panther, I said, wow, that was dope. But then at the same time, I'm like, you know what? He really, in all intents and purposes, could have played another Marvel Black superhero and held it down. I mean, really. I mean, there's some, if you don't know about some Black comic superheroes, there's a lot of them that are out there. I hate he did the Fantastic Four. Kind of like Ryan Reynolds doing Green Lantern. That was up too. But I digress. He could have really held it down in some other positions and stuff, within the Marvel kingdom. But I mean, he is a very prolific actor and a cool guy. Very cool, very sweet. So I hate this happened to him because he looked like he was ready to go ahead and put it down say, I got me a queen. We're gonna be the next power couple because hey, we need more of them.
Well, I don't see where her power is powerful. I don't know a lot about her, so I don't want to speak out of context as far as what she actually does, because this is something that's going around on the internet as well, as far as like women wanting men to have something to bring to the table. What do you have as a woman? What are you bringing to the table? And one of the younger girls, one of the friend, her daughter was like talking to me and my friend, her, mom. And, I think if young women of this age would embrace some of the old school ways, they would have probably better luck with the men, to make them want to aspire to bring something, to have something to bring to the table. You need to make sure that you have yourself established. And I'm not saying X amount of dollars in the bank, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying, to me, if you know how to take care of yourself, that means you know how to get yourself out of issues. You also know how to be big enough a woman to ask for help when you need it. Um, we as women were always valued because of what we offer in terms of nurturing, emotional support, um, the ability to turn something into more.
Mhm.
These were some of the traits that God gave us, to multitask, um, that were valuable. They were considered valuable to men because they knew whatever they were to bring, that she would not mess over it, that she would not, you know, dispose of it, but she would use it to make sure that they build something together, build a home, whatever the case. And
Mhm.
now these things are not being taught to young ladies. So a lot of guys are like, if I'm doing this, that, and the other, blah, 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 what do you bring to the table? Not so much that I need you to match me. If I'm making $10,000, you need to be making 9 or whatever. But he wants to know, what do you plan to do with this for us? I think that's a better way to ask her, or to ask that question.
Mhm.
And a lot of women aren't offering anything. They think
Mhm.
it's about money. It's not about money. It's about, what are you going to do? There's a lot of couples that had a lot of money that ain't together.
Yeah, good point. You right. Oh, Trav dropping it. He said, her daddy is the author of Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. She was screwing Puff Daddy and his son. Maybe she does these type of things thinking she got a man
Man mentality.
mentality. Could be. I
Mm,
mean, you know, we're
hmm
Hagi said her relationships don't seem to last longer than a year or two.
She gets her return on her investments, Hagi, and she out.
Mm. She said she may have just missed her king. I don't know anything about him for real, but the impression I get is a good catch. What's going on, Anthony? What's going on?
Hey,
Thanks for
Anthony.
coming back to Roundtable Podcast Show, where we're talking about any and everything. It's what you're talking about Wednesday. Yeah, you know, hey, to be honest, I like when you said that regarding, you know, as far as what a woman brings to a table, because I'm gonna be the first to tell you, so many times women are told that a man should not make her, but it's almost as though a man is like it accentuates her, you know. And then, you know, over the years, we always have heard and seen, you know, Miss Independent, Neo's Miss Independent, and, you know, all these things that are really promoting women to be self sufficient and be strong and can hold their own. And the reason why that happens is because of the negative connotation as far as men being slack and negative and not having and not being able to provide. And that is something that has just been perpetuated so much that, you know, it's, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's a ploy to really downgrade us.
It
But
is.
my thing is with a woman, and the Bible says, who can find a virtuous woman? And it mentions those things as far as being able to go out into the marketplace and do the things that need to be done and not bring any reproach back on her household or negativity or talk ill about her husband, and to be able to come in and take care of everything in the house and be able to orchestrate those that work within the house. She takes the lead and things of that nature. A woman, to me, and I'll say this even about my wife, is like the Energizer Bunny and that battery. My wife is that battery. All right. She pushes me, she encourages me, she energizes me, she gets me to do the best and be the best. And it doesn't even have to be the financial part. The fact that she pushes me and keeps me going and doing the things, to me, is worth more than any amount of money. She has my back. And I
Yep.
think, you know, so many times in relationships and stuff, a lot of these young relationships, they're missing that point. You want your greatest cheerleader, but you also want the person that's going to pull you aside and say, you know, you was acting a fool. You know, that look real stupid, baby. You know, we don't do that. And it kind of reflects back on the whole Will and Jada thing, you know, in that situation that happened when he went up there and laid hands. she didn't fulfill her role.
Did you see the movie clip that I posted?
Yes, I did.
And it was like, it was identical. I think that movie came out like in the 60s, 50s, or 60s.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this was a bigger plan. I do feel like this was a bigger plan than some emotional outbursts. I don't know. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And I feel like people, men and women who get in relationships with the intent to marry someone that they are going to change or they don't respect who they are currently will never have a true relationship, a true marriage, or trust, because you have already looked at that person as if they're not enough or they're not good enough. You need to leave them alone.
Good point.
Because you cannot get with somebody and think that you are going to change them.
Right.
It's not your place.
And I think that's been a stigma as well for quite some time, in which, you know, it's always been, oh, well, you know, girl, I got him, I'm gonna change him. Well, wait a minute. The thing is this: first fix yourself, then get with somebody that you can build with, not change them, but build with them, you know. And I thank God that, you know, to be able to get with somebody and then you both struggle, you both suffer, you both survive, you both build, you both enjoy.
Yep.
That's how it's supposed to be. Not going in, you're going to change somebody or whatever. So, I mean, you know, want to go in, oh, well, he don't dress right, I'm going to make sure well, it might be a reason why he don't dress right. It might be because he is working so hard that he don't want to spend the money to buy the things that other people are buying, but they're still living at their mom's house.
Or how about creating an atmosphere that's so comfortable that he or she can say, hey, I like the way you dress, and I've been feeling like I kind of want to change my style. Can you help me?
That's it. That's perfect. When you both work together, and that's the thing, when you both are working together to make it happen. Not coming in and you buying all this stuff that, you know, brother may not fit in skinny jeans, but you want to put him in skinny jeans and you want to put him in this and that and blah, blah, blah. He might not be comfortable with it. But as time goes on, he says, hey, babe, then we make a run to the mall. And then you both are working together. I mean, man, if you go back and you look at the real couples that have held it down for a long time, LeBron and his wife, look how they first started. Ice Cube and his wife, Snoop Dogg and his wife, Denzel and his wife. I mean, they grew to Viola Davis and her husband. I mean, there's a lot of positive influences in which they start. Samuel A. Jackson and his wife. Oh, I could go on. In which they grew together and they built something together, and now they're enjoying the fruits of their labor together. A lot of young people don't get that. Ooh, how he said, oh my goodness. Okay.
Well, the man first look at beauty, so they don't really care what a beautiful woman is bringing to the table. Kinda, I agree, but I don't. Because I'll say a new guy, a young guy, a thirsty guy, but then you get one that, you know, kind of have the beautiful girl and she didn't have brains, and then the beautiful girl and all she want to do was spend his money, and then a beautiful girl and, you know, she and her have no interest outside of sex, just don't want to go nowhere or whatever. Those dudes are like, nah, like, okay, she may be beautiful, but she got to have something. Because I don't care if you don't interest a man anymore, you don't interest him. And the song says, where a man put his time is where his heart is. If the time ain't put in and you're not invested in that person, I don't care how much you think they make you feel. I don't care how much you may say out your mouth you love them. You don't. You do not, because you're not investing in that. We don't invest everything that we love. We invest time in, whether it's the maintenance on our car, our flowers, our house. We clean our crib. We spend time with each other, with our families. You invest. If you're not investing in that person, I don't care what you're doing. You don't love them. So if that person has to have something to bring to the table, and somebody got to have something, and you're looking at what she got, you looking at her being beauty. I agree with Mahogany to the point where a lot of times I think it was both sides. I ain't gonna just say dudes. A nice person can get a little further.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what happened. A nice looking person can get a little further or have a little more grace with people than maybe a less attractive person. I do understand. In her opinion, and her saying that, I agree with that part. But after a while, beauty is running, nothing. It's 0%. They need to have something else with them.
What's going on, Charlie Two? Thanks for joining us at the Roundtable Podcast Show. This is What You Talking About Wednesday, and we've gone through quite a bit from COVID to Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey breakup to now we're talking about how should we word this? You word it. You've been on fire. Says what is it exactly about? What is it? Woman.
What does the woman bring to the table? Like, men are starting to ask the woman, well, what do you bring to the table? Usually a woman can say that. She says she's here until the battery dies.
That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting because it's like, and it's unfortunate we live in a society where everything is face value and, that takes precedence first instead of, like that old saying, to know what's in the book, you got to open the cover, and I think a lot of, what goes on right now, especially social media. Social media has really promoted that to the umpteenth power when it comes to how people look. And everybody's just looking at everybody on social media and liking what they're seeing stuff. But, the thing is, people have substance. And you have to understand what is it that makes that person who they are so unique and tick. If you're not willing to really look into that, even the plainest person, what people don't understand, the plainest person you get with another plain person, and over the years you can see them blossom and evolve to become the most dynamic duo you've ever seen.
That's another conversation right there that we were having, that it seems like all of and I don't mean this to be disrespectful, don't come for me. The plainest women, like, understated, doesn't mean that they're not pretty, doesn't mean that they're not beautiful, but they're not doing a lot of makeup, they're not having like the latest gear on, they may have like killer bodies, but they don't wear a lot of stuff that's tight and showing it off. Like, these are the women that are getting married. These are the ones, and happily married. Like it's the season for the small wildflower versus the huge bouquet. And you have a lot of the women who have went to Miami and DR and all these different places, and they've got the BBLs done and all of that stuff, and they're still single, and they're still using filters on Instagram, and they're still putting it out there. They're still marketing their body and the work they had done just so they can try to catch somebody. So it's kind of like is beauty really it? And again, I'm not saying that people who are not, but yeah, like, does that really matter? She said, what? She ain't mad at Lori in these streets. Is that what she said?
She said, hey, I ain't mad. Lori is for the streets.
Lori is for the streets.
Excuse me. Oh, Lord. I was trying to say, also, what do they bring, period? Appearance of smoke and mirrors a lot. Hey, I don't know if y'all remember this or not, but this Japanese gentleman sued his wife after they got married because he got to see the real her.
Oh yeah, she didn't have like any makeup or something on. Yeah, he married
everything off, and he got so mad. He sued her, and it's like, yo, why are you getting mad at her and suing her? That's that's just like buying a car. If you don't check under the hood and kick the tires and everything, you get what you bought. I mean,
but is it his fault? Isn't it hers? Like,
it's both, because he put up a front, but he didn't try to see. Like, I remember talking to this one sister, and she made a comment that she said she actually wore, like, and it was the craziest thing. I was so shocked when she said it, but it's like when she was dating this guy up until they got engaged and married, she literally, like, they would go to bed and she would go to bed with her makeup on, but then she would get up while he sleep and take the makeup off. And then before he woke up, she would go and put the makeup back on. So he would never see her without makeup. And she did this for a long time up until they got engaged and stuff. And that's when she really let her hair. And I'm like, yo, are you serious? That to me, that's making the bump right there. I mean, you should be, come on. You should be to the point with you in a relationship in which y'all can be chilling. Like you could be in there and I'm be real open and stuff. You can be in there sitting on the toilet and your girl come walking in. That's the type of love y'all gotta have. If you got a fake like that.
I had a pit bull comment when you said all that, but then I said, nope, that's not appropriate.
Oh, hey, that's not appropriate. It's what you're talking about.
Not appropriate. I think that women should. I think that's a privilege. Not that you should do it for a man, but I think it's just a privilege to get dolled up or do whatever makes you feel pretty. Do whatever makes you feel attractive when you look at yourself in the mirror. Okay. The whole order of things kind of have gotten, all switched up and jumbled up because we are to be pursued. We are to be the one that is attractive. We are flowers. Flowers attract bees to their scent, their beauty, and their honey. Okay? Y'all know what all three of those things are with a woman. So
what are they?
I knew he was going to ask. Oh God, I knew he was going to ask that question. My man. Oh,
we are to, like we need to be who we are and how God designed us. This is how we are supposed to function within that work. And so having guys that are feeling like you got to do all that, like the basics of who we are as a woman and how we've been designed has also been instilled in the man. And so you going through all of that with the makeup and all of that, like if you felt that was necessary for him to find you attractive, then you probably need to have some kind of counseling because there are so many different things. I keep guy friends just for this purpose in my life. Like they're like, we really don't care. Like we don't care if your nails are this color and your toes are that color, or if they polished at all. Like we don't care. Like, is it nice? Yes. Do I like as a man to feel that you are doing something to appeal to me? Absolutely. But they're not like, oh, it got to be like this. It got to be like that. And I start feeling like men have used the desperate acts of women as manipulative tools. Because they're the ones that start saying, oh, if a woman don't keep her nails done, she ain't a real woman. Or if she don't have her hair done, she's not a real woman. Or, she need to have makeup on, whatever. And then we as women start jumping through the hoops. Like we got to change the narrative. We got to be the narrative of what we originally and how God put us on this earth.
Yeah, I think, hold on. Oh, Valerie said, but when you get them home and they take all that off, what do you have left?
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
The wig came off, the wig off. He was like, he was ready to go. He said, how insecure are you to do stuff like that? You're gonna see me. LOL, I don't have time for all that.
I know that's right.
Yeah. And I think too, though, sis, the gentlemen that have those type of demands as far as gotta have makeup on, gotta do this, gotta have your hair done, the nails, I'll be honest, they're immature. They're immature. They're very immature because here's the thing. A woman is beautiful naturally. Just naturally. I mean, there is, to me, I love it. I love to see my wife when she gets dolled up, like you mentioned. She gets her nails done and stuff, and I want her to do it if it makes her feel good. And she gets her hair done the way she wants to. I want her to do it if it makes her feel good. I ain't gonna lie. If she comes through with a pair of sweatpants on and one of my old t-shirts and stuff, she's a dime piece. Regardless. I mean, I've seen her with her hair in an afro. She throwing one of my t-shirts and stuff like that, and I'm like, yay, yo. For real. Put on mixed match socks. I don't care. Because I mean that's just her being natural and stuff. And then there's so much other beauty that a woman exudes as well beyond the surface type stuff. I mean, what's more beautiful than a woman who can carry a conversation with you? Like y'all can just sit and chit chat and vibe. You know what I'm saying? And then before you know it, you're looking at the time. You're like, Lord, we've been sitting here this long. It's like the light was on outside. Now we're just sitting here, and it's like we got to cut on the light on the inside, and we vibing and we talking and stuff. That's beautiful in itself because then when you walk away, you're like, I can get with her.
Yep. It is nothing like having those time stand still moments. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Word is enhance. You should enhance what you naturally are already given. Like, I mean, you've seen those TikToks where those women, like, they could rob a bank, how they look without makeup, and walk right back in the bank with makeup, and nobody would think they were the same person.
Yeah.
It's a lot of makeup.
Oh,
it is.
Man. I've sat and watched women do tutorials on how they do makeup, and then when Renee, she had a makeup artist here for something special that was going on, and just to see them do it, I paint, and I was like, they are artists. I mean, seriously, they are. I mean, contours, shading, everything. It's just amazing.
It is.
And just think if you're a woman who gets that done on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, we worked with someone who did that. I mean, her face was slayed every day. She every day she did it. So just think the amount of time it takes to do something like that. So either you're doing it for somebody or you're doing it because it makes you feel good. And if that's the case, if it makes you feel good, then hey, so be it.
Yeah.
But,
we're not knocking behaviors or things that you do. It's just those people who are using it to be deceitful. And if for people who do feel insecure, to let you know that you are enough, you are beautiful. And unfortunately, as Black women, especially, we don't hear it enough. We're not celebrated enough by who we are and what we are. And, I may get hit hard with this for whatever. I'm sorry. I am all for a queendom. I'm all for sisterhood, but I'm tired of my sisters cheering me on. I want to hear some Black men cheer me on. I want to hear, hey, you look beautiful from some Black men. Not my sister, not my queen next door, not all of that. Like you know what I mean? Like we as women, we want to hear that we are appreciated and we are beautiful from our community. That involves our kids, that involves the men, that involves everybody. But we have had to kind of shoulder each other. And that has also helped with the movement of being independent, having your own, because we've had to do it all. Like we want to hear that from the men in our community, not because you're trying to hit on us, but because you appreciate us.
Okay. So Charlie said yes for some women that is doing it for them though. My grand was on 1,000 because she wanted to, not for anyone. I admit I am 1,000 for me, but that's even my dress down.
Yeah, doing it for you is fine. Like that's what we're saying. That's not a problem. It's that some people are not doing it for them, and you can tell by the way that they carry themselves.
True. Heidi agrees. She said, absolutely, our men don't tell us enough, and that needs to change. All right, I get to play devil's advocate. I agree with that. I think men need to be able to tell women that without it being something like leading somewhere. If that makes sense. In other words, there's no alternative motives or whatever that is causing that statement to be. In other words, if a man makes a statement to a woman about she looks good, it shouldn't be like, oh, what he want? He trying to get with me. And that's a catch-22 as well. Because
it is, but you know what though, Kerry, the only way we're going to change that narrative is to change it. So if you see a woman and you happen to be in Noda and you're like, hey, just want to let you know that you look nice today. Or she happens to have on a nice perfume. You're like, hey, I want to let you know you smell pretty today. And
Mhm.
you keep it moving. And you get to thank you, and that's that.
Right.
That's going to be like, oh my God, thank you. And there's a lot of women out here who would take that and then make their day and not even think about, oh, why he say that to me? Why he just was fat? Because I'm going to speak forward. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And the women can come on here and tell me I don't need you to speak for me. We are empty. We are tired. We have struggles of trying to make sure that we're supporting the Black men. We're holding up the households. We're helping the community. We got to fight with Miss Becky and Karen in the office or whatever the case. You got to deal with being a stereotype in the store when you getting groceries, when you going shopping, if you walk in Louis, you got all this stuff. And I'm not to say that the Black man does not. But all I'm saying is that we as Black women have a lot that we have shouldered for a long time. And we are the generation, I feel I'm a part of a generation that have learned from the old how to have endurance, but also learning from the new that certain stuff I just don't have to do. Or I just don't have to put up with it. And so we're making and trying to change the narrative, but we also aren't speaking up to say, hey, we need our Black kings to help us. We need our Black kings to fill us up, to give us that replenishing of sometimes just a kind word, the chivalry. We need it. We need the chivalry. We're not a man. We can only do so much for each other. You know what I mean? So, that's just where I'm at.
Valerie said facts, Miss Pitbull. And I agree with that. I agree with that. But on the flip side, too, I think one of the things I love to always say to people, especially when I'm doing something like online and such, I always say, if you can be a blessing to somebody, and if you can spend a little time, if you could, if somebody's in the line, they need some change, give them some change. If you walk by somebody, say something nice to them, whether it's man or woman, and just be a blessing, because you don't know the words that you may speak at that time may be the thing that carries them on to the next day instead of them ending that day.
Right.
I think we as a people, a lot of times, we get so caught up with always wondering if there is something behind what we do instead of just doing right.
Yep.
I'm a big proponent of, if I see my brother and we cool and we vibe and we tripping and stuff, before we leave, yo, man, give him that, yo, I love you, man, or whatever the case may be. If you see a queen, to be able to compliment her, whether if you're on social media, especially with us being on social media, if you can take the time to drop an opinion about something that you really aren't connected with, like we see on social media a lot of things about politics and about this and that. Take that same energy that you have, that you're ready to go ahead and just pen a whole dissertation about, and go and visit somebody on their social media and say, hey, I just wanted to tell you, you look good today. I love you. Hey, you need it. Just to be able to do stuff like that. And I think what has happened with us as a society, we distance ourselves so many times, and we've gotten involved with the Miss Independent over here, and then over here, the dope boy fresh, and we cause this divide in which we don't communicate with each other anymore. The only time we do communicate with each other is if it's on a sexual nature. Instead of taking time and saying, hey, Pitbull, saw you were out of town, boy, you were doing your thing, love your hair. I mean, just stuff like that, instead of us being, always, because women do need attention. But on the same flip side, it's been chronicled as well as far as
say that a different way.
What?
Because I can hear the 2022. Women don't need attention. We don't need attention. Women want to be acknowledged.
I think women should be acknowledged. Women should be acknowledged always. Men should also. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to start getting into the whole, if I come in the door and I see my wife, or if I see my mom, or if I see my sister, I should be able to say something positive to them. I need to pour seed into them immediately, and it needs to be reciprocated back. Or if you see me first, you do so. And we get into that habit we change the narrative, we break the cycle in which we're pouring more positive seed into each other instead of always a negative type thing. Especially when it's like, we've always heard, especially if you were in a relationship and you have a child out of that relationship and such, and then the first thing they're saying to the child is, well, your daddy ain't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that has always been the case in which you're pouring that negativity into that young person, so they in turn they do the same thing. It's a part of a vicious cycle. And what we all have to do as a people, we have to start really speaking life and not death into each other. And from there, hopefully something will happen.
Don't forget, we have multiple language. We have verbal language. We have body language. We have love language. You have different languages that God equipped us with. So if you're home and you walk in, she might not be like, oh, how was your great day? You were such a great guy. I know you had a bad, like, you don't have to say all that. But the fact that you see her and she comes, or she know you had a bad day and you walk in the house and she sees you and she greets you with a hug or she greets you with a smile, like, hey, you're here finally. I mean, there's all these things that happen. And the funny thing is, you have a lot of people that had that keyboard courage. They go on social media, like you said, they're posting all these long dissertations of opinions. And then you got people in your home that you haven't even spoken to.
That's it. That you hit the nail on the head, sis. And I remember somebody doing a post not too long ago. They did a video. It was kind of like a little short skit or whatever sort, and it showed like, okay, a guy and a girl were first together, and she's at the refrigerator, and when he walks by and stuff, he smacks her on the tail.
Oh yeah.
And she's all smiling and stuff. And then like 5 years later, when he does that, she gets all
don't be hitting me.
Yeah. And then 10 years later, she's at the refrigerator and she purposely poking out and stuff, and he's like trying to avoid her and stuff like that. And he's like questioning. You have to be, like my brother Anani says, you have to be intentional in the things that you do every single day.
Yep.
If you're intentional, then it doesn't become a chore. It's actually not even a habit. It's the natural way you carry yourself.
Yep.
So I'll be the first one to say, I pick at my wife all the time. I'm like, girl, and she'd be like, oh, you need to stop, and she, but she know I'm serious about it because I look at her in the same vision. Even though we've evolved and we've grown, I still look at her in the vision as I just met her. And I think if you're intentional with your loved one or you're intentional with the people that you're with and you treat them that way, it doesn't become a habit. It becomes natural to you.
That's it.
I say, yes, we do need attention. Yeah, you do now. Yeah, yes, Javi, for real. Y'all should, and we should give it to y'all. And I know money he down there thinking about stuff because I know he do.
Well, I know. Oh, we know Queen T gets attention, honey.
Oh yeah,
Queen T gets attention.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'm in agreement with everything you've been saying. The way this world is right now, we have to pick up our women, and it's needed more so than ever. So I concur with everything both of you have been saying up to this point.
And I think it's important too, because it's like, okay, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, especially if you got children in the home, or not even children, when you have teenagers in the home. The way you act with each other is the blueprint of how they will act when they get with someone that they thinking about caring about, So it's like if they see mom and daddy not really connecting the way they should. And this is not, like I say, not just the young people, but I'm saying like when you get teenagers and they're out and about and stuff, if they're not seeing that connection there, they're thinking that's the blueprint for their relationships that they get involved in. And it's not even as far as the whole lovey-dovey thing, you know how they used to say back in the day, mom and daddy, boy, Saturday night, they put on the record player and we got to go in the room and you be hearing Bobby Blue Bland and all this other stuff. It's not even that. It's just the conversations you have. You know what I'm talking about, sis, with the, got the long record player, you lift it up. And
there was a TikTok and it said, trying to sneak away they had sex when you had small kids. So the husband and the wife was like, "Mommy and Daddy are gonna go have a meeting. We'll be back. You guys watch cartoons." And
Mm,
so I bust out laughing because when our daughters were younger, you know, it wasn't unusual for them to be like, because Ben and I would meet over the finances or whatever the case, like, so they're used to seeing us in a meeting. But like that was the code, like, Mommy and Daddy gotta go talk for a minute. Y'all stay here and watch your movie, we'll be back, or whatever. And I just started cracking up. And so, now that they're older, they're dating,
mm,
there's a different conversation that you have with them.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so sometimes they're asking questions, and I'm like, I'm really not comfortable talking to you about this, but I do still have these, have conversations. And so, it's crazy that you said that, because having young women in my home now, there are things that they are like, Mommy, we remember this, remember that. And there are
Mm-hmm.
things where they're like, yeah, so like I'm never putting up with that. Or like I'm not gonna do that in my relationship, or if and when I get married, I'm never gonna do that. And so they're going to pick and choose the different pieces, because that's what's important. We think that we're only showing them the good stuff, but they see it all.
Right, right. And the thing is that we as parents, we have greater control, and especially if you come from a home, when we were coming up, I think we were more privy to seeing things that our parents did, especially the arguments and things of that nature, whatever sort. And especially like when you get back into the 60s and stuff, and I'm telling my age, you see a lot. And I think with young people today, they're so accessible to things that are on social media and on YouTube and TikTok and all this other stuff, that we as parents, we need to give them a good blueprint. And if you know anything about blueprints, they're great to go by, but sometimes you got to fine tune it. Sometimes some things don't make the build. So that's what we as parents have to do and stuff. So it's like, shoot, you fast forward to 2022. No, you don't have the record player over there anymore with the nickel on it and stuff to make sure it don't skip and stuff. But what
The nipple on it.
you got to put a nickel on. You got to put a nickel
Oh,
on the head
goodness.
of so it don't skip. Oh man, I'm telling my age. Show enough now.
That's like
Right.
if you have a WAP record, ain't it?
Or either a WAP record, or say for example, you didn't clean the needle and it has all that dust. So when you clean the needle off and stuff, and then you put it back on there, and it's trying to get into that groove the way it needs to, you put a nickel on it, and therefore it gets in that groove, and it'll play smooth and stuff.
I had somebody hit me up. One of the things it says, men love nonverbal communication. Show me how much you miss me, winking at me, staring at me, over dinner, mouthing I love you.
Mm-hmm.
If we're at home, just touching me. Nonverbal communication and love language turns him on more, makes him appreciate,
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So,
True.
Charlie said, "Okay, on the charger," and I don't necessarily think I agree or disagree. I think that you need to exhibit the care and concern you want to see towards others. Period. Towards you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it goes back to do unto others. It don't say do what they did to you. Let's just be clear though. Sometimes with all intention of just being a nice person, sometimes those energies are given, sometimes those behaviors are shown and it's not reciprocated. That is when you as a person have to make that decision to say, hey, this is important to me that you reciprocate. Not so much what I did or like I did, but there's some reciprocation. But we as people, especially women, tend to continue to try to just love harder when you already knew early that this dude don't love you like that. So, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I agree with Charlie 100%. You do need to do how you want to be treated, but let's be honest about when it's not there. Then what do? You don't get mad at that person. You don't slander them. You don't try to change them. You don't try to make them do what they do. You need to move on. That's literally what needs to happen, because you can't change people.
Right. Something has to really in good relationships, there has to be some sort of common factor. There has to be. And here's the thing, it goes beyond the physical. Because I'm gonna tell you, Rod, shadow of a doubt, you could be a brother that was bench pressing 225, 230 back in the day. But when you get that dad bod, you doing good just to carry it. And vice versa in regards to women, while they may have been dime pieces and everything and just a petite frame and everything, life happens. So what is the common factor that you two share that goes beyond the physicality and really gets involved in the spirituality and just the love language that is shared amongst two people on a mental and a spiritual plane? I think that's very important because, again, a lot of people don't understand that if you're with somebody 15, 20, 30, 40 some years, there has to be something there that kept you two together. And no, I'm not talking about, well, we stay together because of the kids and stuff, because the kids get grown, they leave the house, then what? But if you
no, play
but there has to be something that when they're gone, like, we're technically empty nesters somewhat, but when children leave and it's just the two of you, you don't have the background noise. You don't have I'm picking up clothes behind them and trying to clean. I don't have this. I'm not rushing, whatever the case may be. But what is the common thing that's keeping y'all together? And if it's, the dialogue that you have with each other, the new opportunities you can share with each other, things of that nature, then hey, that's wonderful. But yeah, the whole, reciprocation, it is very important. Very, very important. And it doesn't have to be tit for tat, because you got to understand there's always timing involved. If you got a husband that's working third shift and he gets off and he comes home, he may not be so ready to just be like, hey, jump in, and just do whatever the sort. And at the same time, the woman too. You come home to your wife, and you expecting her to be all lovey-dovey. She done took care of 3 kids. She done cooked dinner. She done did all the laundry. She's probably worked as well. But you want her to drop everything to be attentive to you? You have to work together to make that time.
Or communicate that. Like, hey, babe, let's get dinner. Let's make sure we put the kids in the bed early tonight, because I want to try at least spend an hour before I go to sleep with you, whatever, blah, blah. Like, I want to just spend some time with you. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Healthy relationships, healthy marriages, that's what and how that works. Because it's not like they're so in sync. Life happens. The distractions are gone, as you said. So you got to be able to communicate. But communication is sometimes a very hard struggle because of either insecurities or not being sure what that person's going to say. So Charlie says, sorry, you cannot change the person to agree. However, you can educate each other. You do not know what you do not know. This is a gateway to help to many other topics I talk about and want to talk about with all relationship, platonic, and
yeah, we can do it. I mean,
and you know what, Charlie? What you don't know is what you don't know. What you haven't had, you don't miss. But you still got to say, well, hey, I don't know what it is. It comes down to communication. Like, you can't expect somebody to give you something that they don't know how to do, but they also don't know that you want.
Communication. Seems like the caveat to many great things.
It is gold. Communication is gold. Like, I'm at a point in my life, I'm telling y'all, communicating is gold to me. Peace is just is priceless. Like, having a just functional day, and if it has to involve other people, just having a functional day, like that's what and where I am right now. And having to look in that mirror, A Money has said it on previous shows, you have said it, you got to look at yourself first and be like, okay, what is it that you can do better? Hold yourself accountable. You could be nicer. You could be a softer. You can do, you know what I mean? Be that way to you. That all is under the self-love. A lot of people feel like self-love is making sure you go to the spa, making sure you have therapy, all this kind of stuff. Yes, that's great. But if you're not holding yourself accountable and it's not self-love, then you're going to do all of that in vain.
So Charlie says, but if you do not know and no one teaches you, then what? I want to, you know, mind, I want to chime in on that before. Ooh, and it's almost 7:30. I know, right? We've been rolling. If you don't know, and the Bible tells us that my people die daily due to lack of knowledge. If you don't know, there has to come a time in which you have to be, if I'm saying it correctly, you have to be hungry to learn. You have to be hungry to know. And a lot of it is being around individuals of a like spirit that will not really teach you, but you will kind of gravitate to them, and then you will start. It's almost like osmosis. Ooh, I threw another word in there. But yeah, it's that basically. I'm trying to think of the best way to. Okay, I'll give you an example. My wife and I, we're very transparent with each other, and we both have had our shares of failed relationships. Okay, and family life, whatever the case may be. And one of the times we actually had a very heart-to-heart talk, and we said it. We shared and we exposed ourselves bare, and we were able to come to the conclusion that the things that we thought we knew, we didn't know. So how do we know? How do we do it? And what ended up happening is we did it with each other. We learned and we grew with each other. We found things that we liked and we found things we didn't like. But it was a learning process, and we literally taught each other. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say, by teaching each other, it led to where we are right now. And I can honestly say, I'm glad I had no other teacher but her. The other relationships I was in back in the day, it prepared me to be taught. And I think that's how you have to look at it. It's not a failure, but what it is a stepping stone to you being to where you need to be to truly be taught and to truly learn how to love. And each one of us can even say that here. With each one of us have had we're involved with long-term relationship and stuff. So the ones that we had beforehand, long. She agrees with me, or long, but it was long. But look at the journey, and look at the first steps that we took to be on this journey. That's how you're taught. That's how you learn and such. And I think a lot of times when people, they're afraid to go on that journey. So what happens is they throw up a wall in order to not take the first step, because you run right into that wall. You want to go that way no more. But sometimes you have to break down that wall in order to get on the path in the direction that you want to be and where you need to be so you can learn, if that makes sense.
It does. And to have an outside source, resources. Yeah. Counseling is not bad. There's literature that, if you don't want to go to counseling, but you guys can read a book together. There's all different types of ways to have that knowledge. You just have to be open to get it, though.
That's it. Anthony said, I try each day to make women and men as well feel good with a kind word. And I try to teach young people that positive brings positive and negative brings negative. When you deal with people, understanding and caring is the way to make a happy home.
That's right. That's true.
Man, this one right here can lead into a whole nother thing. So you may have to take some notes off of this show.
Do a part two. Part two, because ATRT family, I pose this question or challenge to you this week, or like from Wednesday to next Wednesday. Share something positive with someone, whether you know them or not. And I promise you'll see that you brighten their day.
Charlie 2 said, I agree and or disagree, I guess, from the statement that I made. Tell you what, let's bring this topic up again. Let's pick a time and let's do a at the round table almost like a Black Hollywood Squares. We're going to bring up multiple people, not just the three of us as you see on the screen, but we're going to bring up multiple people. Let's have a whole bunch of people on here, and let's have.
You gotta have Charlie as, especially with her helping with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have Charlie to be there, because I think this will be a healthy way to gain knowledge, and let people feel like they are not alone when they're dealing with certain things.
So Charlie said, think of feral animals and people. That is their normal until taught otherwise. I am feral. I have to learn that is not normal, even though that is my normal. Good point. Very good point. But here's the thing, and you mentioned that as far as feral. Even the most feral animal, after they do something repetitiously, it doesn't become habit. It then becomes natural. So I think that's where we as individuals need to start doing. We need to get out of the unnatural and get into the natural. Because again, we were built to love. We really was. And I tell people this all the time, and I learned this a long time ago from somebody very, very, very wise and very, very older. They said it themselves, that God did not intend for every person to be on this earth without somebody to support and love. And if we start thinking that way, instead of always putting up walls and just thinking that nobody's here for me, I can't never find anybody, why won't nobody love me, all these things, instead of speaking these positives, we do like my boy Anthony said, and we need to start speaking positives and not negatives. Speak life and not death. I guarantee you some things will happen.
Well, I'm positive God gave me these arms and this back because I can build up a nice high wall. No, I'm playing. I'm joking. I was about to say about them wings. But anyway, it is about that time, as we always do. We have to get ready to shut it down because got to keep the lights on and stuff. But if you get a chance, please share the show. We definitely appreciate it. We love the opinions, the input. It just prepares us for the next shows. And we love to have you on as well. So if you'd like to be a part of the At the Roundtable Podcast show live, actually in a square right here, probably next to Adrian, or I'll move down and put you right up here next to the pit bull, whatever the case may be, chime in, let us know. We'll send you the link so you can actually be on the show with us. Hey, Money. You gonna take us out?
Oh man. Peace, love, and happiness. Peace, love, and happiness.
Oh man, where's my black light? I tell you.
Peace, love, and happiness.
We'll see y'all again real soon. Y'all be